Brenda was born in 1961, 16th of May, to Barbara and Jim, and Barbara was my sister, which we were very close. Barbara passed away when Bren was 4 months old with cancer, and her dying wish to me was look after them. So I broke off my engagement, married Bren's dad when she was 22 months old, and we were married for probably 40 years. Had no children, but a happy life with Brenda, and yeah, and they were my life. It was always Jim and Brenda, Jim and Brenda, and I didn't think of anything else but Jim and Brenda. She's beautiful. Yeah, we've just been going through lots of photos that I haven't seen for years either. We've got many thousands of photos, and I've seen them. I haven't seen them over the last few years, her early ones, but she's having great fun and loving seeing the photos. I've put them in albums and put them on some videos and on the USB. She's loving that, and oh, there's me, but it's always, there's me, oh, there's me, there's me, there's me. And I say, yeah, but who's the other people? Oh, there's me. Yeah, so she finished North Tech, is that where we're up to? Yep. And came up when it first opened, stayed there for 28 years, loved it, hated it, had a few different areas, hated it more than liked it, till she had this incident of leaving. Through her time, she had lots of friends, not sociable friends, but friends. I taught her to drive. That was an experience. Just when we were on the back roads. We'd go out the back roads here, but Bren, she knew, and she got in, and we'd kangaroo along a lot, and so we got over that after a few lessons, and we'd sit out there and have a picnic at the end of it and a bit of a laugh because we didn't achieve much. But this went on for quite a long time before she did get her licence. Then she did get her licence, but she wasn't, I didn't ever like driving with her, even though I taught her, but she was like a Mr. Magoo. Remember Mr. Magoo? She'd sit right up at the steering wheel and right over the steering wheel, that close to the steering wheel, which is, I'd say, back, but no, I didn't enjoy driving with Brent, so we always went in my car. And she just got a new car just probably a month before her diagnosis, which she didn't get much driving out of, but still talks about her little red car, and it's got photos of it, and yeah. We went overseas, probably 6 or 8 times. We went to Europe for 3 months, travelled Europe, England, Scotland, Wales, the Greek Isles. That was my husband and Bren and me. That was tremendous, and we're royalists. Bren and I are royalists, so we spent a lot of time at Buckingham Palace and Paul's Cathedral because I'm a Di fan, and we sat where they sat, had got married, and I really lived all that. And then the day we were coming home, the minister, priest, whatever it was, come up and said, oh, come up a bit further, come up a bit further. So we just followed him, and we're sitting up where the candle holders were, the lamps, where the actual special guests were sitting, watching, listening to this service. And the next thing we look at our watch and we're running late for the plane home. We made it, but we were trying to edge our way out, and you couldn't interrupt the service, but we got through. But we've got great photos of those feeding the pigeons in Trafalgar Square, and Brent still remembers all her travels, and we had postcard scrapbooks. I take them down to Hayley, and she's got a lady down there that goes through, and she remembers all the photos and what they did there, and yeah, it doesn't tell them about the time she dumped me and left me lost in Paris and Switzerland, and yeah, she's a bayer. Yeah, and we'd party on. We hardly went to, well, a couple of mornings we used to go down to breakfast. We went down to breakfast one morning. I looked over the rail. We'd packed the night before, and then we had to have breakfast, and then they'd load. And I looked over the rail, and here's everybody walking out with their cases, and oh, they're going. I thought they were going for breakfast, but I'd been out partying all night and missed the time. There was another time. We went to Yugoslavia when the road was blowing up in front of us. Went up Switzerland, the top of the hill with the cows, bells. freezing, icy, drinking hot wine. Yeah, had lots of experiences in there. Went to America 3 times. Brenda was a big Elvis fan, so we went to Elvis. And then later in Brenda's life, she went by herself to Elvis' place again, to his 25th anniversary. That was an experience for her. It cost me a fortune in phone bills and send more money. That was Brent. Very close, very, very close. She's on my shoulder if I move. Very possessive of me, very possessive of me, even now. It's hard to leave the place sometimes, and yeah, that's upsetting. Always been close, always done everything together. Great shoppers. She even commented in some of the photos we've been looking at, oh yeah, we can look at the bags, we've been shopping again. She was the bag carrier most times. Always done everything together. Well, her dancing took up all her younger years, but I run that and helped her with that. School, I was involved in her school. As she got older, she rode bikes because I rode a bike. I can see her now going down Gilly Street with that old wooden bridge with gaps in it. She had no idea how to ride the bike, and you go down there 100 miles an hour, and I'd think, oh God, is she going to make it behind me? But because I did it, she did it. We'd do exercise classes. Everything I did, Brent was included in it. Always loved that, yeah. We're just so close now, and still, and she just says, even when I go there, she says, oh, hi Mum, hi Mum, hi Mum. And that just melts my heart. Just, yeah. That was probably the most special thing I ever did, was give Brenda my heart, yeah. Even though it's broken a million pieces now. Yeah. Her diagnosis. Well, when she left Kmart, she was a bit of a state, and that's when the police got involved. I don't know whether you got that, like they rang and asked me to check Brenda, and they said she's living down here. She was driving, so she was going down there every night, 3 or 4 times, and ringing, and they were coming up to her house 3 or 4 times a night. And I didn't know that, and Brenda was in a relationship. Don't know what sort of relationship, but that was for 17 years. I went down one night and the police were there, and Brenda was huddled in the corner with her suitcase packed, and nobody was home, and the police were there, and they said, we've been 3 times tonight. And so I took her, but she was staying here sometimes leading up to that, and she was seeing people, and things were happening, you know. She was very bad about security here, and make sure the door's locked. She'd lock everything here and sleep with all her possessions, her bag, with everything she could put in it, you know, toothbrush, jewellery, everything. It turned out to be an 18-kilo bag in the end that she'd hold and sleep with, in her purse, and very, very sad, very sad. That went on for a couple of years, and then she went to hospital when the police said take her up there. So we went up there, and she was there 10 days, and they said, oh, no, there's nothing wrong with her, take her home. Anyway, she got really psychotic and was having a few attacks. Never in her life before had she had it. So I took her up again, and they said, no, we can't find anything wrong. She hasn't got cancer. I said, thank God. But then they said, we'll have to get someone up from Melbourne to check her. So a lady came up from the Royal Melbourne and looked at her hands and a few things, and said, I'm sorry to tell you, you're young, but you've got dementia, Alzheimer's. She was 48. 48. So then she went to Melbourne. She said, I'll ring Melbourne and see if they're interested in taking Brenda on, which a couple of days later they rang and said yes, they did. So Brenda went down. She was in there for a couple of weeks, had scans and MRIs and so forth. And then they called me in, and, you know, 8 professors sitting around this big oval table, little me and Bren. And Bren had been in there for 10 days. And then they just said to me, you know, sorry, but she's got Alzheimer's. And Bren she said, I'll hand my licence in, so she handed it in straight away. And then they said, oh, I'm sorry, she's got dementia. And I said, well, I'm sorry, but that's not what I wanted to hear. So I just started to cry, and I haven't stopped since 10 years. And and the social worker was next to me, and she said, here's my keys, go into my office, sort yourself out. And I was in there probably, I reckon, 2 hours, screaming, yelling, crying, wailing on the floor. No one come near me. So I've really been on my own since, and I bring that into it now, but Bren's dad had passed away before this, and he had Alzheimer's. So I was on my own with this, because you couldn't talk to Jim. And then when I got back to Bren, she was in the ward just talking to people. And then we come home, and then they made arrangements for her to, she didn't want to live, we put her and live together. She said, no, we'll kill each other. She said, we're too close, we'll kill each other. So we didn't live together, and then we put her into Marlborough nursing home, because as soon as her dementia was diagnosed, her partner walked out and just left, and he's never been back since, just left her with a big house, so we had to clean that out. We shifted her to Marlborough, because just to see how things were going to work. She lived there for probably 2 years. I'd pick her up every day and take her to work, home for weekends. Then that wore out. Then she decided she wanted to live in a house, so we put her in a house, 4-bedroom house on her own. Didn't work. She couldn't stay there on her own. She was up here every night. She was ringing me every 5 minutes. So she got out of that after probably 18 months. That was a horrible time, really horrible time. Then she went to Hereford Gardens down Sebass, independent. And then she had a lady come in morning and night just to get her up and breakfast and dress her morning and night. She stayed there for probably 2 years. But all the time this was going on, she was hallucinating, and she knew these people so well. They were Aboriginal people, and we were going to Melbourne one day in the car, and she said, there they are, going past there. They're going to a funeral. The grandmother died last night. She knew all their stories. She could tell you how many kids were in the family, how old they were. And this went on for a couple of years, and everything here was just very suspicious out the front. We weren't allowed to go out there, she'd see someone. That went on, and then she went to Melbourne again. She had a bad episode at Melbourne Hospital. They didn't know what to do with her, I think I was told. And she was here 2 weeks again. And I asked, could she come home for Easter? And they said, no, it'll be a couple more weeks yet. And she was living out at John Curtin then. And they rang me, or Glenda was involved then. And I think Glenda rang me and said they've sent Brenda. She's arriving at John Curtin tomorrow at 10. I think it's the most tragic and upsetting, devastating disease or illness that anybody could have, but to me get the least recognition. They get no support. Brenda's had no support at all for, well, it's been 10 years now, it's just gone 10 years. And Brenda's never been offered nothing. She can't go to class there, she can't go for a ride with that group. No, because she's not under that umbrella. And it's called younger onset, but they're still not allowed to be involved in anything. There's no specific group. These are older people that's in this group too. But nobody recognises it. It's got a great stigma. I had a good range of friends, very sociable. I worked. As soon as this happened, I've not seen nobody. And that's cruel. That Brenda got upset just not long ago to one of the nurses and said, oh, I don't ever have visitors. Brenda's had one visit in 8 years. And that's my best friend. That is sad, yeah. And if I go to talk about Brenda, what she's up to, it's not concerning. I'll get texts and how's Brenda, but they're not interested in my respond. And it's more or less, does she still remember you? Do you still remember your meaning? Is she gone yet, or is she learning, or whatever? Because there's an awful stinger. Nobody even knows what it's about. They, as you say, it's an old people's disease, and they relate to an old person. And now when we go out, we still go out a lot, when we do, people just sort of watch her go around, and I don't like that, and I won't stop taking Brenda out because of that reason. She looks a little bit pale and a little bit over, and they just sort of look, and I just look them through just to, if I could only tell them, you know, oh, she had a badge, you know, I've got dementia or something, and bring the younger ones into it. The older ones have had it for many years, they've got what they've got that they can't do for them. They're not doing any more about young ones. It's still, there's a survey on the telly the other night. They're doing what they do, those trials, but you've got to be over 65. What's the use of that? They need the young ones in it to get what's happening with the young ones. But then they say on the telly, you know, it's the biggest disease and it's this and that. I don't see it's any different to Parkinson's, bipolar, and especially MND. Why aren't we all under the same umbrella? Why isn't the money raised by MMD put into everybody in that umbrella of, it's the same thing. You get a bit upset about the MND, but it's only because there's a high profile guy doing it. But we can never get anyone to be high profile enough to do younger dementia. I see Collingwood's trying to do something at the moment. They're trying to get 5,000. I think that's the Florey institutions doing that though. Younger people to be aware of what they do in their life so they don't get it. But I just think it's the most cruelest thing, and it's wrecked me. Yeah, completely. I'm only as strong as I can be, but it's all for Brenda. Yeah, and people say, look after yourself, do this, do that. When Brenda was first diagnosed, I took it very hard. I lost a lot of weight. I suppose my friends give me up, but I suppose I give them up as much. You don't want to associate if nobody wants, if they stop inviting you around for dinner and you stop having communications, you don't want to be pestering them. And if any time I brought up Brenda's illness, it was all just left there, not talked about. And it's only just not long ago, probably after 8 years, someone said, what does happen to her? You know, they don't even know what it is. And I think it's more a personal thing for me, but I'm willing to share it with people, and it should be shared, but nobody, they just say, oh yeah, and just sort of leave it. Even I find in nursing homes, she's in Haley now, they're not interested because she's younger. When she first went into these places, she was very boisterous and, you know, wanting to help everybody, doing the dishes, feeding them and all the rest of it. But when she was left out there with these bad people and in a room on her own, locked, because it was a bit bigger room, and she had a nice room and a balcony, but she was so terrified of that room, scared out of her brain because of this man coming in the window, and they wouldn't put a blind up, and I'd say put a blind up. They had curtains, and she'd sit there and watch for this man to come in, and he's in here, he's pinching my stuff and he's doing this. That was horrific times, and I couldn't talk to anybody about that because Brenda was so fair income. She didn't have me believing, but she would. It's that feeling that it was so real to her. And they'd be following us, and someone's sitting at our table, there he is there now, what's he doing now? But it was this one particular man, and that went on for probably 4 years. Yeah, I still went down out there, and then when she shifted into Haley House, when I went in there, I thought, oh, home. It was a beautiful big place. We walked in, I looked at the room, and there was a window with curtains on it. And I was too shy or backward. I should have spoke up straight away, you know, that's not going to work with Bryn, can we have a blind? I didn't straight off, but she went through hell down there with this man coming in, and he's using my toilet, and there he is there now, and it was so real, and went on and on and on. When we'd be out, he'd be following us, and there he is there, and she knew what he was wearing and the colour of his hair. And then I spoke to him down there, and I said, you know, Brenda needs a blind. And she talked to them about him. Oh, here he is now, he's sitting at the table with me, blah, blah, blah. Not that her level of illness was at that stage. She was quite still talking normally, but this got into her mind. He was just so real. So I ended up putting all these things I could out of her window. The Buddha flags, you know, that takes all the bad things away. chimes, things up to the window to buy pot plants and then make sure that they were up high, close, what was in them, so they couldn't get in the window. It was quite an experience, that was. Then I put a siren, white siren, you know, blue siren, and I had to take the globe out of the battery out of it. But she believed that, and I went out and I said, we can't let it off, but there it is up there, and that protected her a bit. But that went on for 18 months, and then they got blinds, and he's gone. And Brenda needs someone besides her mum to help her with these things, and she's a people person, loves people, but she's just shunned off. She's not well, I suppose she's not a mixer in a way. I don't know. I have to keep going. It's Brenda. I don't know what it is with her. My sister and I were very close. We come from a big family, but her and I relate to Brenda as Barbara, and things Barbara and I did, I refer to Brenda, and I think she remembers that, but she doesn't remember. You know, we dress the same. There's photos of Barbara with her leg up on the fence and the hand up here in a skirt and a blouse, and then there's one of me in a similar colour, same action. Everything we did was her thing, and Brenda and I like that too, but Brenda refers to us as like two peas in a pod, which I thought was beautiful when she tells me that, and my one to her is she's my sunshine. But I have to, because I don't know what it is with her. I just love her so much that, and it hurts me, and I cry I don't think there's a day I don't cry or a night. And then I think bad things, you know, later on, and I'm trying to get off that subject, that she's still here, make the most of what you've got with her, make her time pleasant. But she's got to a stage now where I don't think she even realises that she's sick. She'll tell you she's got Alzheimer's dementia. And we go to the cemetery sometimes. Went and seen her dad one day. I said, come and see Dad. So we went up and she said, I don't want to see him. I said, why is that, Brenda? She said, well, I don't want to know. I'm not visiting him. She said, I used to visit Dad a lot once when I used to drive, she said, but I don't now because he gave me dementia. Because he had it and his mum had it. So she wouldn't go to his grave a couple of times then. She had a good relationship with her dad. Yeah, not as close as mine was. I tell myself I'm a strong person. I have to be, because who else is there? Who can I go and talk to? They say go to a psychologist. What do I want to go to a psychologist for? I could probably teach them a thing or two. I went to one in Melbourne, it cost me $400 or something for half an hour, and he was a writer on dementia books, top of his professor. So someone recommended, so she took me down and we went in, and he said, have you ever hit Brenda? I said, no. What would I have hit Brenda for? He said, oh, well, just think that you've hit Brenda and she's on the floor in front of you and she's got a blood nose. I said, oh, excuse me, and I got all upset, and he was videoing this too. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. I said, I would never do that. I said, I have to go. So we stopped it. And then I went out and paid him $400, and I was due the next fortnight. And then we went into the city, and the lady got off the train before me, and she said, go into the city and buy yourself something and have a nice meal. So I go into Myers and I'm walking around, and I thought, oh, I'm going to be sick. Found the toilets, go in, and I could see Brenda's face in the bottom of the toilet with all the blood on it, what he'd said to me. I think I've got like a photogenic brain, a head, or wouldn't mind, I suppose, where I can know what things are happening and what people are going to say on the telly. I can do all that. I can get these pictures now of that lady on the train with him. Yeah, it's always up in there, and I wish it would shut up. So I was quite upset over that, and I never ever went back. And I've just started one now, but I'm not going to go back. I've had two. Silly. I used to tell Bren those things, but it's not good. I don't know whether to tell Bren things anymore. I do, but she doesn't understand now, and she doesn't talk back to me. Like I'd like to say to her now, you know, you're not talking, you're this and that, but you don't know whether to say those things, so I don't. And